Well, my name is John Alexander Sayson. I mean, that's my middle name, so you can't really skip it. But yeah, I was born in Artesia, California. Then I moved to Colorado until about 2005, and I moved back here to SoCal. And I can even see my old house like just down the street. If you go down Telegraph, like my old house just growing up was right there. Well, I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia, so yeah, just putting it out there. And I just no, it has been easy. That's all I have to say. And yeah, sometimes times were hard, times were abusive, but overall, like I've managed to overcome throughout my life and earn back my father and my mother's support. Well, I first got acquainted with marijuana when I was 12 years old. So over time, my friends would just bring me over to their house. I would go smoke a bong, smoke a joint, and then it would repeat for the next like 2 years of me being in middle school. This culminated in freshman year of high school, where about the last time where I used it was before I moved out to a different school. And yeah, growing up, I just thought it was like normal. I thought everyone used to do it. I thought, your family's just lame, like they wouldn't understand, but you just go ahead and do it and use it. And then by the time you get old, you just realize, wow, I can't believe I did that. Like I wouldn't want to do that ever again. I got into contact with DMT. Basically, it's a herbal drug you can buy from a smoke shop, but it makes you hallucinate even further. And I think after that, I just chose to stay away from the drugs. But the DMT, it was partly the most traumatic thing I've ever been through so far in my life. I think DMT stands for dimethyldrozapine. I think that you can't take my word for it, but that's what it stands for. And basically, I went into it expecting like a trip like on LSD or something like that. But then when I took it, I just fell into like chaos, basically like seeing shapes all over me, seeing colors all over me, and falling into those colors and then turning into random stuff, random goop, basically like while I was in the middle of the drug trip. And I remember like it was completely out of body too, because when my sister and her boyfriend got me situated like to a couch, it turned out that I took a pot, like an empty flower pot, put it over my head and started yelling. And it just wasn't good, like what I did right there. Well, I was going insane after the DMT. We were going to move to a new house, and I just remember I was making people feel like really uncomfortable or made everybody hate me for some weird reason. And after after a few years of college, I just lost my equilibrium, stayed up like all night for 3 days, and typed up some random essay, claimed I found world peace, and just went about my life afterwards, just taking meds here and there, going off certain meds, going on another med. And I eventually landed on Haldol after all this time, and it really put things to a different perspective. Like for the first time in my life, I was not hearing any voices, and that was like the breakthrough moment for me. Well, I would go outside and think everybody was looking at me, or everybody was talking about me, and that for the most part, for the first couple of years, or like from mid to late 2010 of the 2010s, I was completely believing that delusion. It was just a delusion of persecution, a delusion of reference. How people kept on talking about you or knew about you, and eventually led to me believing that I was like famous, or that I was gonna go places without me even trying, or that I believed like I was meant to become this evil dictator. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And that yeah, those are some of my struggles back in dealing with schizophrenia. Even though I deal with this very day, it isn't nearly as strong as it was before. Yeah. Well, I remember just holding on to these two women from high school, just thinking maybe I should just die or something like that, because it started with me believing that they were in love with me in middle school, and just led me on and on and on, just to miss good company, just to miss friendship, just to miss a relationship that never bloomed. And it just it it culminated somewhat in me um finding out that people moved on, people do different things, and they definitely moved on. But these old things from my childhood, like me growing up, just eventually just stuck with me, to the point where I took my first dose of pills and tried to fall asleep without ever waking up. And that was my most scary experience. I could remember my mom just staring at me, not knowing what to do, and it was just heartbreaking for her. Yeah, it was one of many. I've been through over 11 attempts on my life so far, and five I'm not proud of since that was spent with me going to prison. And afterwards, I just felt like I had a new clean slate, and I found you guys. I think I'll tell them to never do it, never try it ever at all. This is your only life, which was given to you by your higher power, and I think that doing something like as disastrous as that would not be fair on your families and about how they'd feel about you if you were to leave them permanently. And that alone rung a lot of bells inside of me that told me never to do something like that, and instead pursue something that I would love to do. And that was the very beginning, like where I realized that suicide was wrong, and that there's so many more things to live for. I decided I'm going to get help right when I went to prison. Right when I went there, I was still controlled by my voices and my delusions, basically having to do with random things in my life, delusions of grandeur, things like that. And I think after I came to that realization, I came to realize that I've never actually hurt anyone in my life, and it actually got me out of that situation where I was just spending so much time worrying about what other people would do to me, or worrying what other people would think of me. And I just I decided that I wanted to pursue something that would be meaningful in my life tremendously. I remember getting out of prison and going to my last mental hospital. Well, I was hospitalized one more time after this, but that was close to the last one. And I remember seeing my dad and seeing him being so happy with me, like finally leaving that dark place. And um, it was then there that I found Solace Treatment Center, and they've basically helped me a ton in overcoming this disorder, because it is a disease, and it's a very controlling and active disease that sometimes runs within the human population. And I think that after after realizing that you're not okay, and it's okay to not be okay, you realize that you can get help out there, and that there are people waiting to see you get better. There are people expecting to see you get successful in one way or another, by just stepping over yourself and realizing that, hey, man, like, you're not the only one going through this. Like, other people are going through this too. And I realized that my thoughts, my beliefs were not just unique to me. That I realized that there's so many people out there going through the same problem, and that I can instead of hiding behind the scenes and taking this problem as something that I would keep to myself, I would come and give this sort of social support and love to other people who are going through it as well. So us being united, us being together in the struggle has really helped me wanting to be someone who can be motivational to myself, and in turn help others in any way I can afterwards. Well, after getting myself into like all this trouble with suicide and just overcoming it, I believe myself I could handle it on my own. And I instead of seeking help, I just went on believing whatever my head would tell me, or go on believing whatever my voices would tell me. And they they just would get me further and further stuck down that hole, and I would never be able to get back up. And I think after that, like, it took me a prison sentence, but it had me realizing that I really needed the help. And the things offered here are really like the stepping stone in reaching that hope. My name is John Sayson, and thank you for listening to my story.